Alright, on this episode of our tutorial series, we're going to go over the different kinds of facilities in Axis and Allies Global 1940 2nd Edition. There are two kinds of industrial complexes and two kinds of bases. So, we're going to start with our industrial complexes. In your out-of-box version, they're not going to look like this. They're not going to look like little monopoly houses. They're going to look very similar to these square cardboard counters. They're going to have a little factory silhouette and they'll have a number in it. So, a minor industrial complex, which I represent with these small monopoly houses, they can produce 3 units. They cost 12 IPCs to build, and you can build them on any territory you control worth 2 or more IPCs. These are extremely useful. They can take up to 6 points of damage from strategic bombing raids. They have their own built-in AA guns. They're very neat. These are very useful for putting towards the front. The downside is just they don't have a lot of production capacity. Next is their big brother, which I use the hotels for Monopoly for. In your version of the game, it'll be another one of these little square guys with a factory silhouette, and it'll have the number 10 on it. A major industrial complex can build up to 10 units, and they can only be built on an original territory that you control worth 3 or more IPCs. Now, if you remember, back when I talked about Japan and original territories, there's a wrinkle there. So, if you look at Manchuria, they own it at the beginning of the game. It's worth 3 IPCs, but you cannot ever build a major industrial complex there as Japan because it's not an original Japanese territory. It's originally Chinese. So if you wanted to build a major industrial complex as Japan, you'd have to build it here in Korea because it was originally Japanese. You're probably not going to be building a lot of major industrial complexes. Pretty much every power starts with at least one. If a major industrial complex is captured, it reverts into a minor one. So, on turn 1, when all the forces in Western Germany slide on over into Paris and take it, that major IC is downgraded to a minor one. If you wanted to upgrade it, so let's say France was able to take it back, if you wanted to upgrade it, you wouldn't have to pay the full price. You don't have to pay 20 IPCs instead of the full 30 to upgrade it. This also applies to the United States. They start with 3 minor industrial complexes, but they have their own special rules anyway, so probably don't do that. You cannot ever build these on islands. No islands for these. Has to be your standard landlocked territories, aside from Japan, Australia, and the UK. Those specific territories are exempt from that rule. Next, we have the naval base. It's got this little anchor on it. There are tons of these all over the board. They cost 15 IPCs to build, and they have 2 purposes. One is they give every single one of your ships in an adjacent sea zone plus 1 movement. So normally all your ships move 2, so you'd be able to go 1, 2. But because he started in a sea zone with a naval base, he could potentially move 3 if you wanted to. That is quite the boost. The other thing is they can repair damaged capital ships. So battleships and aircraft carriers they take 2 hits to destroy. So let's say there was a big fight here and this British battleship was damaged. As long as it survives, once it gets back to the British turn, boom, it's repaired, it's back in action. A naval base can take up to 6 points of damage before it's rendered inoperable, and those are considered tactical bombing raids. Strategic ones are for the factories. Tactical bombing raids are for air bases and naval bases. Speaking of the air bases, that's next. There are these little counters with the airplane symbol on it. These are somewhat less prevalent but nonetheless important. So what your air bases do is they boost the movement of your planes by 1, so they can move either 5 or 7, depending on which plane. And it gives them one other special ability called scrambling. So what scrambling means is, for each air base you have, you can take up to 3 planes, 3 fighters or tactical bombers in any combination, and send them into the sea zone to fight if there was a naval battle. So let's say Japan was going to come in here and attack Hawaii. If the US player wanted to, they can decide to commit these planes to the sea battle. Now, you can never commit more than 3 per airbase. So if we were over here in the Mediterranean, theoretically, we could scramble tons and tons of planes into this sea zone if we wanted to. Let's assume we have an airbase here, 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 and here. 3 each, that's up to 15 planes you could scramble. But never more than 3 per territory. The planes have to be in that territory as well. Scrambling is very, very useful. It's a great way to get extra defense in your sea zones. Air bases also, I believe, take 6 points of damage before they're inoperable. 15 IPCs to build. Air bases and naval bases have no restrictions on where you can place them, so you can put them on any territory you want. Islands, occupied territories, territories not worth anything. Air bases and naval bases can go anywhere. I probably wouldn't build them everywhere, but if your strategy requires it, go for it. That, I believe, is everything concerning our facilities.